All right. Well, welcome back to Seekers of the Eternal podcast with Chris Parks, your host, Chris Parks, and Jason DeRocha. Chris, how are you, brother?
Hey Jay, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So good to see you, man. I
Yeah.
feel like even though it was just a week that we took off to go to Elevate in Toronto and missing our podcast together, I feel like I haven't seen you in months. So this feels really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It feels like it's been a while and I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here in the calm before the storm here in Florida
Yeah.
today.
I was
So
thinking about you, man. I know that this is, I mean, like you said, they always say this is going to be the worst, but they're expecting this one to be a bad one. So, how
mhm.
does this fare for you and all your Floridians?
Yeah. So we've been really fortunate here in Tampa Bay area. Direct storms don't often hit this area, which
Right.
has been really fortunate. They say that there's a Native American blessing on this area. I was talking to a good friend of mine a little while back, and she told me that she knew about this blessing and that it had a shelf life and it ended in 2020. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
my gosh.
thanks.
So scary.
So we're due to get hit by one here. So it looks like it's coming our way.
Wow.
And right now it's a category 4, and
Oh,
the
it's already a
highest.
category 4.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
they say
God.
that, I mean, the highest is 5 that I've seen.
Now, have you
So
lived through a category 4 storm before?
uh, there was one coming at us a few years back called Irma. So
I
it was
remember
these,
that.
yeah, so these two eye storms. Last one was Irma, that was really terrifying coming at us.
Yeah.
We ended up evacuating for that one, and then it ended up actually hitting higher. So no, I haven't actually sat through one where it's just blowing that hard. So
Wow.
it'll be a good adventure here on Thursday
I like that
morning.
you see it as an adventure. So are you going to sit this one? Like, are you actually going to,
Yeah,
strap yourself in
yeah.
and see if you can see
hmm
if you can get through the storm?
Yeah, we're not in a flood zone,
Okay.
so we don't have a mandatory evacuation where we're at. If we were in a flood zone, they make you leave.
Okay.
Uh, and so yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, at least safety wise, as far as flooding. And then also, we had some big trees removed in our yard
Okay. Good.
after Irma, and
That's
so
good.
there's not things that can fall and smash the roof unless but anything could happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're
but yeah, I
thinking
think.
about you and everybody in Florida, and we just hope it, has a minimal amount of damage, and hope just everyone's safe. Damage is one thing. You can always fix a house, or, that's why you have insurance. But I think that the risks are always, to people's personal health and well-being. So hopefully everyone
Yeah,
stays
for
safe.
sure. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that live in mobile home parks, and those are get devastated the worst. And then also people living near the water, it tend to be very bad. So yeah, like what I do, I they say with Floridians, it's like Floridians aren't afraid of hurricanes. We just get afraid of being without power for weeks, after
Yeah.
hurricanes
Yeah. Totally.
uh, in 90-degree weather. But what I do in my practice, what I do this morning, feeling this energy in the air and thinking about all those who are on the coast and those who are living in mobile home parks and these places that will really sustain a lot of damage likely if it hits there. um, I spend a lot of time really feeling that energy. And that's what I was doing this morning after my meditation, is feeling the energy and feeling that fear and anxiety and everything that people are going through.
Yeah.
Because I realize, the more I practice meditation and study scriptures and work with my guru, I realize that any of that fear that is existing out in the outside world, it actually starts from within me. Like, so if
Mm,
I'm in a world where there's hurricanes and there's fear and there's suffering, then that actually is starting here within me and getting reflected out into the outside world. So
mm,
if I spend time feeling that and dissolving my own, looking for it, even on the surface, you're like, well, I'm not afraid, or I'm okay, it's not going to hit me, or whatever. There really is this collective fear that exists within us, and sympathy and compassion for those who are going through it, or people in Puerto Rico just got hit or probably still without
Yeah.
power and
And I think
flooding.
Cuba as well.
Cuba just got hit really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feeling all of that and being with those people. So I imagine too, like, and after it's a practice of my Ananda teachers and Yogananda too, after your meditation too, you get into this state of calm joy, really. And share that with the world, share that with any receptive hearts. I imagine that there, all receptive hearts, there are people who won't be able to feel it because they're just too caught up in it, but any receptive hearts out there that are a little sensitive towards these things, sending out this love vibration
Mm,
energy, and just imagining in that moment where they're about to lose it, all of a sudden they just get a sense of, well, it's going to be okay. No matter what
yeah.
happens, we've been through a lot before. It's okay. Whatever
Yeah.
happens, we'll fix it. But
I think you're right. And I mean, it's always hard. Like I'm not trying, I certainly don't want to make light of the impending storm and the risks that are associated, but there is a um these storms that approach us throughout our lives. It's not just the physical threat always, right? We endure storms, a variety of different storms in our lives, whether it's in our relationships or at work or in our
Mhm.
friendships or in our own personal endeavors. There's always a storm to weather. And I think that what you just said is so true. Like, how do you prepare for that storm? And what's your perspective and your mindset, and how do you make sure that you come out of that storm in one piece and be better, be better from it if you can. And if not, then
Mhm.
at least you survive to fight another day. I think that that's always something that we're striving to do. It's even more worrisome when you're actually physically bearing, staring down the barrel of a storm like this. But hopefully perspective and putting thought into your situation before it actually hits, prepares you, better prepares you for dealing with it.
Yeah, you do, do some preparatory things and see if you can just have things that you'll need and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, prepare the place. And yeah, I like what you said about that, because you can really apply this to anything that you're dealing with in life. And I made a recording last week while you were out at the festival, based on things that I've been hearing from a lot of friends. It's tough out there right now, especially I'm noticing. Well, it's my own circle. I know a lot of artists, and I know a lot of artists out there are
Yeah.
struggling to find work, struggling to make ends meet, and people worried about losing jobs and all of these kind of things, and physical issues, health wise, all of these kind of things that people are dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And I feel it too. All of these things that are coming through. So the recording the previous episode that we released yesterday,
Yep.
that one really is it's because I was feeling this so much and talking to so many people that were really struggling, and really like, I'm gonna have saying things like, I'm gonna have a panic attack, like I'm gonna lose it, I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so I wanted to put out something of like, here's a mindset that you can put into play, and then here's something that I use that you can do. So I get there too sometimes,
Yeah.
like when you don't have money to pay your bills and there's not anything coming through, and you've got like all of these different things through all the millions of things we all deal with every day, and sometimes it just gets like so overwhelming, you don't know what to do. And when that happens, your brain is not thinking properly, your
Yeah.
frontal lobe is not operating optimally. So,
Yeah.
and then you just go down this hole, and it's so hard. So I put out that one there's a poem from Paramhansa Yogananda called God, God, God. In one way, it's about chanting that inner mantra in the peaceful times and the happy times. And then in the times where he says, when trials shriek and worries howl at you, drown their noises by loudly chanting God, God, God.
Mm,
And I'll use that. So, you know, like sometimes like I was talking about in the videos, I go out into my car and close the windows and go somewhere where somebody can't see me and just, you know, shout that until that that thing breaks. And this like, because that's all we're being asked to do is to turn inwards.
Right.
So whenever like these challenges come up, turn inwards, do that, and you will be hit with some sort of calmness or peace that will come after that. So I recommend people checking that out and using it when you're feeling like you're going to lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that perspective. I love these tools that you can put in your tool belt to try to make you conscious of the fact that you're part of something greater than yourself, and that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
We see that obviously within this community that we're building. Um, it's pretty incredible when you stop and you think about, how many people may be in your situation, how many people want, more for you and want you to do well and are putting that energy out there into this world, into the universe. And if you can access that, that's a lot of positive energy coming your way. So just remembering to access, that we all have access to, is important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about us being able to create an environment for people so that you can have friends who approach life in this way.
Yeah.
I learned how to do this by seeing other people approach life this way. So I'm like, no, that's the way that I want to live.
Yeah.
So that's way more fun. It's way
Well,
more fun.
I got to tell you, we were at Elevate last week with the team, and we were around a whole bunch of people who, both, speakers, attendees, people like us in the media, and it was for everyone in the space of art and technology, and the crossroads, that we're at, where all of these incredible genres are coming together to work together. And the greatest takeaway that I had from Elevate was community. Like, it wasn't cutthroat. Nobody was there to make someone else look bad. Nobody was playing their cards close to their chest. Everyone was in share mode. Here's what I'm working on. There was a curiosity what other people were working on, and everyone was looking for an opportunity to collaborate and share. And
Mm,
it was incredible. And what an awesome reminder, to all of us, that, of the time and space that we are in right now. It doesn't mean that there aren't people out there with selfish intentions and looking out only for their own desires, but it wasn't what we witnessed. It wasn't what we were experiencing. It was like everybody was so excited about Seekers of the Eternal. They love the fact that you are a, commercially successful IRL artist, taking this leap on faith, and belief that, you can leverage Web3 and the technology associated to build a new community, to take your artwork to a new level, and to access a whole new, universe. I think that was really uplifting. So, and I know that it wasn't
mm,
easy for you to make the decision even to move from IRL to Web3, because you had your own questions about it, and nervousness around, what's really behind it. Like, there's obviously there's scams and people with nefarious intentions, and then there's a lot of artists that don't want to put their reputation on the line, um, because there is we're, well, until today there still exists a divide maybe from IRL and Web3, but you still found the courage to do it, and that is so uplifting to people who, other artists who are really hesitant and nervous about taking the leap, and not necessarily having a team that they can trust to go with them on their journey. There's a lot of hesitancy, but at this conference there was a lot of people who feel like Web3 is missing the genuine artist, and one wants to build this bridge, for them. And so the willingness and the appetite to work with projects like ours and communities like ours and artists like you is, overflowing, Chris, like overflowing.
mm.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Cool. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
That's so great because that's exactly it. I know how risky it is what we're doing and what
Yeah.
it is for my career and even too when we first started this, it wasn't like I didn't want to do a separate project where it was like, okay, let's try this, and if it doesn't work, no, like no, if we're gonna do this, I want to be all in. I want
Yeah.
to use the name of the community that I've been building so far. I want to
Yeah.
use the artwork that I've been making. I don't want this to be a side project. This is
Right.
like I checked it every step of the way. And that's what the spiritual practice has done for me, and having that inner uh, check and balance to like be able to make sure that yes, this is the way that it should be going. So like that quote I always talk about is, when you're however, just paraphrasing, but when you're on your own journey, and you're doing what you're meant to be doing, then the things that are impossible for others become possible for you.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, so that's what I'm riding this on. It doesn't have anything to do with my ego or like how good I think I am or what we can all do. It's just combined with our competence and skills and our
Yeah.
expertise in different things, but then knowing that this is something that we're doing, and we do want to do that. We want to build this bridge. We're consciously doing that. I want to open this up for other artists to see what we're doing and to be like, okay, I've seen somebody, it's like skateboarding. Oh, you see somebody kick flip that stair, like now you
Yeah.
can do it. So
Yeah.
mhm.
It's incredible. Like we had a chance to mix it up with artists. We had a chance to mix it up with people who were building the platform for the artists. We had people who were there that were doing like the go-to-market strategy for artists. Um, there was people building like using the technology to as a window for their art. So there's a lot of people who were really you know passionate about metaverse and building the metaverse in a way that could be used today. Not one big magical world that we'll all be living in one day, but how do you create a metaverse right now that's maybe small? Maybe it's like a room that we can all, like a classroom where we can all get to, or a lounge where we can all get to, and we can have an avatar that we can who we feel represents us to the best of the technology's ability and to the best of our ability to build an avatar we're proud of, and then have it exist in this space. And like the passion that you talk about your art with, it's the same passion that they have for the metaverse or the technology or the platform that they're building. And a few of them are solving like real world problems that exist, especially since the pandemic. So a few of the interviews that we're going to be posting this week, through our experience at Elevate, you're going to hear from all of these people how they're using technology to express themselves and hopefully make this world a little bit better for everybody else, whether it's making life easier for them or giving them a community or an opportunity to be a part of a community. There's some really interesting characters that we met, and we're going to be collaborating with them and working with them moving forward as well.
So exciting,
Yeah.
so exciting where it's going. It's at the same, how as I'm saying, like talking to a lot of artist friends, the old, and how we're all struggling through, all of this kind of stuff, is the old ways are crumbling, and if you're trying to hang on to the way that it used to be, it's going to be really tough. So as I moved into this space, it was like, it was this big leap of faith. Like I just felt I was supposed to be doing it. I didn't know why. Um, but all of this stuff that we talk about a lot is learning how to tune into your intuition and to learn how to trust that and to check it and balance, see if it's correct. And the more that we do that, but it's so the old ways are kind of crumbling. So for me now, it would seem so much more risky for me to try to stay doing what I was doing now
That's
that I'm
interesting.
here. Yeah, now that
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm like, whoa, I just narrowly got onto this life raft and I'm now going to the promised land, this
That's an
this
interesting perspective as well. Yeah, I never
mhm.
thought about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like just being like water, adapting to what is coming in the same way as this hurricane's coming. It's a opportunity for me to practice being calm in the middle of a
Mm,
storm. It, we can, everything that comes, it can be like, okay, all right, I don't, and in technology, like everybody, it's scary at first. You don't know. And And so I get it, all of those fears and putting your reputation on the line. Well, if you're gonna put your reputation on the line, make sure what you're putting out is fucking good.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
make sure it's good.
Yeah,
Like put
don't
in the
half-ass
time.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Everybody in the space seems like, they're all in. Nobody that, and maybe there aren't, but they're not going to be here very long. But everyone that's all in, I mean, we met so many people, Chris, that gave up their livelihoods and their careers to be in this space,
Mm.
to build something that they felt was going to be good for humanity. And I mean, not like just young folks. We met this group called TKS, and it's high school students from like maybe as young as 15, maybe even younger to 17 years old.
Wow.
And I mean, there was a whole bunch of them. And Chris Hatfield was on stage and he was talking about him being in outer space. And there's this really, I got to just share this quick story. So Chris Hatfield's talking about, he's talking about, his time in outer space. And, I would hate to follow Chris Hatfield on any stage if I was a speaker as well. I would want to go first. So
Yeah.
like there was a moment where he's like, he's up on stage and the auditorium is packed and, he's putting video of his experiences in outer space. And he's like, who here has seen the Northern Lights? So everyone, so there's a few people that are like, and he's like, from outer space. And he's it
Yeah.
was like, like really quickly realizing like this guy has seen things that we would never have seen before. Maybe in the future we would be able to. He made us believe that we would all have a chance to see it. But um, you know, during his presentation, he said how excited he was about this young group of kids and like from TKS who were there, who were interested in the technology and the advancements that are happening today, and that they're taking their life rope and they're tethering it to this. And he's like, you're the people that are going to change this world, and I'm more excited about what you're going to accomplish than anything that I've ever accomplished. And this is someone
Hmm.
who, was first Canadian commander of a rocket into space, like, but it was like that type of experience where you're getting people who are, and if you watch those interviews, you'll see like they're like, I'll say like, are you more worried or are you more excited? And they're like, and everyone said the same thing. It's important to be cautious, and there's going to be lots of things that don't happen the way that is planned. But it's the part of the evolution of the space, and it doesn't mean anything but you know we need to be patient, we need to learn, we need to be dedicated to the craft, and we need to think long term. This isn't for short term gains. This is long term. And if everybody applies that same approach, like David Cash, he actually put it in a way that I hadn't heard anybody say. He said like technology, I think it's called modernity, something modernity, where he's like he said a post modernity, maybe that's what the phrase was. I could be wrong completely, but he said where technology has surpassed the average person's understanding of its use. And he said, which can be scary, of course, right? He says, but how many of us know how our cell phones actually work, our smartphones actually work? We still find a way to use it, and it still betters our lives. And he said, so we are playing catch up as a species to figure out what this technology really means. AR technology, virtual reality, Web3, all of these cryptocurrency. What does it all mean? But we shouldn't allow our fears to paralyze us. We should use it to energize us and inspire us to learn more and to activate.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so cool. This is such a cool time to be alive. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
And even things that scare us that come up, like for me, so I've been exploring the um, the artificial intelligent artwork, like through Dolly and through Midjourney and things like that. That could be very scary to a digital artist to see like all of a sudden I can just type in prompts and I can get some of the most compelling digital artwork you've ever seen. And it's just, pulling from all of the masters that have been creating this artwork. And it can now, in infinite amount of ways, just like show you up, just
yes,
immediately, here's 4 comps, here's 4 more, here's it rendered, boom, boom. You can never keep up with it.
yeah, yeah. It's so true.
That could be so scary for a digital artist. Like, wow, like, am I useless now or
Right.
whatever? And I know that's going to be scary for a lot of people, but I encourage everybody not to look at it that way. Don't be
Mm,
afraid of what's coming. This is a new tool. All these things are new tools for artists,
yeah.
and they're going to allow more people to become artists. And I think that's good. Like, I think we're all capable of being artists, and the way that we're able to interact. I was thinking, I like to think about these things in kind of deep ways as I'm playing with this, and just seeing like the power of this AI art generation software is this
Yeah.
incredible. I was thinking, maybe the difference in making art, that maybe you're a really skilled technician with a pen and ink, or with the paintings. You're really skilled. You went to school and you learned all of the your perspective and the lighting and the technical aspects of it. You can
Mhm.
still make a painting that nobody wants. Like, you can still make a painting that I can look at and I don't feel anything when I
True.
see it. I
Very
can
true.
respect, the quality that you did with your line work, but still maybe it doesn't do anything for
Yeah.
me. Um, I think the same thing can happen with generating AI. Because when I'm making a painting, my brother and I are painting, we like to, or we have to. The state of consciousness, the mood that you're in, the level of consciousness that you have when you're putting down the lines, painting lines, or whatever you're creating. Every time you put
Mm,
that brush down or that stylus down, that vibration is going to come through to the viewer, even if they don't know how to describe it, or
mm,
it's going to come through my state of conscious. So a lot of the time that I spend, actually, it's minimal actually on their drawing. When I get down there and I do it, I'm going for it. The rest of it is really getting into the right state of consciousness to be
right.
able to channel the artwork properly, so that when you look at it, you get the vibration that's uplifting. Not, you don't look at it and you feel all of my fears and self-doubt and my worry about finances and my, am I good enough for this, or am
Yeah.
I doing the right thing? I don't want you to be getting that when you're looking at my artwork. I
Right.
want you to, you know.
Yeah.
So I think when you're making AI artwork, I think you can put that same type of mindset into it. If you can get into a calm state of mind, and allow, because in the War of Art, Stephen Pressfield talks about the muses. In the Greek mythology, they talk about muses a lot, where the creative muses are looking for a host to come through. So if you're a musician and you're constantly writing music, chances are the muse is going to come to you and put a song in your head, and then you start hearing that song. Where did that come from? I don't know. Then you start playing it on the keyboard or a guitar,
Yeah.
and now that's manifested into physical reality. I think we can do the same thing with AI art. You can get into that calm state. You can ask the muses to move through you, to give you ideas, to give you like how to, and then now you're sort of interacting. That muse is so tangible, and you're sort of co-creating with the muse, and the muse is now sourcing every bit of art that's ever been on the internet and creating these images, and then
Yeah.
you can use those as references to make paintings from. I would say build on it. When you get one, then build on it, make more from it, co-create with
Yeah.
it.
That's a
Don't
great
run
idea.
away from it. Hmm.
Love that.
Yeah. So use it,
Well,
artists. Don't be afraid.
yeah, it's such good advice. So now, I mean, we're in the thick of things now. I mean, the last few Hanuman that you have shared, well, the color, like, my goodness. I mean, the one we actually just posted in the announcements today, we're going to be hosting an AMA on Thursday. Um, but wow, Chris. So can maybe you just walk us through kind of where you're at in this journey of creating or bringing Hanuman to the blockchain, in terms of your artistry? Like, what are you envisioning when you're creating these beautiful pieces? And as people start to get excited about it and want more and want to find that Hanuman that speaks to them, what can people expect to see? And so maybe two things. One is, what's the process like right now, and what can people expect to see by the time we're ready to launch?
Cool. Yeah, I'm so happy to be doing this, to be having this extended period of time to be working with this subject matter, and allowing it to speak to me as I'm working on it. and to keep developing like a deeper and deeper relationship with Hanuman and the Ramayana and that story. And it's just been so fascinating. I love it so much, and I hope it is coming through in the artwork. The,
100%.
and being able to yeah, working on these backgrounds, a lot of thought goes into each of the elements, so making these backgrounds that all align with the elements of nature, and then those elements of nature we use in chakra meditations to awaken the energy centers in the astral spine through the chakras. A lot of people are aware of what the chakras are these days, even if you're not a deep meditator. But awakening these areas of blocked energy, the root chakra, that can be like the rocks and the earth and the trees. It can, when it's used in a way where you're awakening the chakra, can bring stability and can bring endurance and perseverance, and can help you sit like a rock, in meditation, can help you get through storms and trials. So everything that's going into that, I'm putting in that spirit, so that when you're looking at it, like that image of crashing waves is really about the fluidity of water, and like we were talking about, being fluid and being open to change and moving with the tides and seeing it all as grace. And so putting that energy into, as I'm creating these backgrounds, and then yeah, it's been really fun seeing them come to life now as I'm getting the different colors of the different Hanuman images and the different facial features. And
Yeah.
now I have all these pieces that I can combine and make compositions with. Yeah, we're getting down to the finish line
And can I
of
ask one
these
question?
pieces.
When
Mm-hmm.
you're when do you have the vision before you start, or do you allow the creative process to take you where it will? Like how does that work, Chris? Did you see, like, obviously the one that you just shared yesterday was absolutely stunning with the water uh, theme, but did you see that before you even started it, or is it in the process you almost start to create?
So the way that I work, I have an intention of what I want the image to convey to the viewer. That's most important to me, is
Mm,
the intention of it. What I want this to do for you when you experience it. So I ask for, obviously I spend a lot of time in meditation before drawing. I look at the screen, and I ask this ancient spirit of Hanuman that has been fascinating. They say a fifth of the world's population has been completely enthralled with this story of the Ramayana
mm,
for centuries, since it's been written down. It goes back thousands, and it's been spread now that far, centuries, as we've been able to transport things,
yes.
whatever. So it's just this super powerful spirit that exists. So I'm asking for that to come through me. So that's most important. I want that to come through properly. I want it to manifest itself through my stylus and my Wacom tablet and Photoshop into this physical universe, into the digital metaverse in a way that's proper. So that's first. And then I do have a vision of what I'm aiming at, and I have a bit of a recipe. Over the years, I've had this broad net that I've been casting as far as inspiration. Like looking all over the world. Like I have my studio here is just full of books that I've collected. And I just, over the years, I've been just so ravenous, like looking for images that stick out to me and making collections of things and things that I'm drawn to, things that have been meaningful to me. And it's like narrowed down to this sort of these ingredients that I make different cakes with now. So the ingredients that I have currently, I'm pulling from and making my own versions of the images that you would see of Hanuman in Thailand, um, combined with my love for Hinduism and the gods. and the poses that I see in India, the different ways that Hanuman is posed. I love the ornate design of the jewelry and the crowns and the golden temples in Thailand. So that's an ingredient that I use in all of the
Right.
jewelry and all that. And I love just the detail. So pulling from that, when I'm working on the background images, that is from those are pulled from traditional uh, Tibetan Tanka painting
Mhm.
motifs. And there's artists like Robert Beer who make encyclopedias of all of the symbolism, all of the
Wow.
nature symbolism, all of the different. Well, here's how you draw clouds. Here's how you. So I like to study the masters and learn how to draw these things
I love
myself.
that. So someone
Mhm.
technically could, find a Hanuman, see a number of different. I mean, we're going to be sharing them with them, the meanings and the symbolisms and the traits. But someone might find a Hanuman and see some of the artwork that you put in there and do a deep dive and find out even more, like even more than what we provide. There may be some deeper meanings that they may have be able to access, and it may represent something that they may not necessarily even see from our own description. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. These are all rabbit holes for you, you know?
It's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that. Each piece is
yeah.
a rabbit hole. I think, we have our AMA this coming Thursday, Chris. I feel like this is great for this podcast, but I would love for you to just maybe talk about the rabbit hole that people could go down just by holding one of these NFTs, one of these
Yeah,
Hanuman.
it totally that's what I love about life and about art and about podcasts and these things that you can just, you can hear, hours of podcasts and you hear one thing and like, whoa, wait, what is that?
Yeah.
So many times in my life I rewind it like, wait, what did you say? And then
Right.
some little nugget, and then it sends me on, this life-changing adventure.
Yeah.
So, and I've said it a bunch of times in our discussions, I want to keep saying it, is I'm making these images of Hanuman. I truly believe this, as far out and as wacky and crazy as this sounds.
All right, let's do it.
These images of Hanuman, we are soul friends. Jay, you and I are soul friends. We've known each other in other lifetimes, no doubt. This is my personal belief,
Yeah.
and more of the population of the planet believes in reincarnation than doesn't. But really, it's the fact, it's the truth,
Yeah.
and the Bible talks about reincarnation. It's just been written out of there. It just makes more scientific sense to me than anything out there. So this is just my own perspective,
Yeah.
but I believe that we've been over and over and over, millions, billions, trillions of times. We've come back to Earth, and we're playing this video game, and we just keep kidding, play again, play again, play again, and you just play again. Your next life very similar to your last.
Yeah.
The next one very similar to the one before it, unless something comes in and makes a radical shift, and then
Mm,
you become a seeker. You start to dig into the past. You start to look for awakened masters that can help you get to new levels of the game. Stop playing, you get a new game on your PlayStation and you go to the training level and you're playing that. It's kind of like you kept playing that training level and you didn't know there was a whole other game on that disc.
right. Right.
You just kept playing that and you're
Yeah.
like, this sucks. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. So what something happens and then all of a sudden you go, like maybe there's more to this
Yeah.
game than
And a lot of
than
people
I'm
get stuck there, like in training mode. I mean,
yeah.
we've all met people like that. We've ourselves have experienced that just being in, myself. I feel like, I was in a very meaningful, rewarding career for 20 years, but then realizing, like, and now that I'm out of it, realizing, oh my God, that world was so small. But when you're in it, it's everything. That's all
Mm-hmm.
you see. And anyone you talk to, you're like, no, like this is it. I'm making a difference in people's lives and I'm able to take care of my family and I love the people that I work with. All of those things can still be true, but it can still be a very small world until I stepped out of it. And then you realize, how underdeveloped I am, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And
Hmm.
unless you at least, unless you actually open yourself up to the possibility that there's more than what you're doing every day, you very easily get stuck in training mode. And part of me was like, I used to be so, when I first kind of hit this, like, I guess I would call it like a form of enlightenment, personal enlightenment. Not the grand enlightenment that I still seek
Yeah,
to achieve, but
awaken.
just
You're awakening.
this awakened moment.
Yeah.
um Sometimes you get to a space you're like, I got to convince everybody of what I see, and then you
Right.
realize people will never, people never change what they're not willing to acknowledge, and sometimes they're just not ready to see that yet. And so you just have to be grateful about where you are on your journey, and now you have this really cool opportunity, to your point, to leave training mode and explore
Yeah.
the real game, which is pretty epic.
That's a perfect segue too into this idea, with so with these images of Hanuman, like this crazy idea I was setting up here is that okay, I'm making these images of Hanuman, and I have, because I've lived trillions of lifetimes, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends out
Mm,
in the world right now. I probably know everybody. Maybe I know everybody on the planet, maybe
mm,
in other planets, because I've lived so many lives. We all have.
yeah.
And I have so many friends out there, and I like to imagine that soul friends, we make pacts with each other, as maybe we were more awakened in a lifetime, and then we slumped back down and we forgot, and we lost our awareness. I like to think, maybe you and I were in a very high state of consciousness at some time, and we said, "Hey, if we ever forget, we're in this high state of consciousness right now. It's so great. We recognize our true powers, and we're able to live this life like a dream. If we ever forget this, we'll use this image of this monkey named Hanuman.
Mm,
And if you, one of us will just remember this image. If you see it, go towards that. It's going to bring us back to finding each other again, to waking up again. And I think that's what Hanuman is. He's
wow.
been in the zeitgeist. He's been in human history for longer than anybody could possibly remember or write down.
Yeah. I just had
And
an aha moment for like a movie script called Hanuman.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
imagine if there was a way for us to capture on camera this incredible story about two, as you said, soul friends or soul brothers or soul, like those two interconnected spirits, where the Hanuman is the one thing they always come back to, but it always connects them in every subsequent life, but they don't know that they actually put this in space. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
you, like literally just even saying this out loud, you may have, we like this whole thing could have been planned in a previous life between us, and we just literally
100%.
came here and you touched on it out loud. That's pretty awesome, Chris. I
Yeah,
love thinking of his story as an author.
yeah, that's how it works. And also the story of Hanuman in the Ramayana, they say it's the most generative story because that's what it does. It sparks an idea in your mind, and you're like, oh, I could write another story with this same idea, this same concept, the
Oh
same
man, I love that, Chris.
aha
That's good.
moment that I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many versions of the Ramayana where people do that. They write a different story, and it's like got the same vibration, it's got the same concepts, but it's a new story. And
Mm,
that's all also kind of what we're doing here with this. Like I'm creating some symbols that you don't normally see in paintings of Hanuman, but they have that same vibration. Maybe some of them are updated and they're meaningful in this time period, or they're images that are coming through really strong for me as symbolic uh, images that will speak to people, and I can write my own descriptions of what they mean for me and how you can use them. Doesn't mean it's take. I'm still tuning into that spirit of Hanuman to
right.
make this work. And if you were creating a book like that, you would still be tapping into that spirit, and it would generate through you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what's so cool about this. So, in a grand scheme, it's like, okay, we're making 3,000 images of Hanuman, throwing them out into the metaverse, to the universe, and to
Mm,
the digital scape. into the physical realms, printing them. Like people will be able to put them on T-shirts, put them on mugs, put them on, print them and put it on your altar.
Yeah.
Put up banners of it. Wrap your truck in it.
Yeah.
Just like so you see that and you're like, maybe other souls that aren't playing this game too, they like see that and they're like, why am I so
Drawn
attracted
to
to
it.
that monkey with the crown?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
from there it leads you to what we're doing. Maybe now you're listening to this, you saw the monkey, now you're listening to this podcast. You're listening to this podcast, we're talking about meditation, or we're talking about this. Maybe it starts like this. I see it as a bridge and it goes in increments. You can join in at any level you want to, wherever you're comfortable.
Yeah.
You could see the monkey of Hanuman. You could find a website. You could buy or not buy an NFT. You could become really engaged in it. Like, what is that? You could read
Mm,
the Ramayana as if you were reading Lord of the Rings, or you could listen to stories about him, and you could be really like, wow, that's really cool, and you could just enjoy it on that level. That's
right.
totally fine. You can
Yeah.
stay there if you want to. And then maybe if you keep being interested in it and keep sticking around, you like the things that we're talking about, then maybe you take it a little bit deeper and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, seem to be a lot of lessons in this story. And then you're like, wow, okay, so they say that the Ramayana contains situations and the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do in every situation. So
Mm,
what does the hero do and what does the villain do?
right.
You want to be the hero or you want to be the villain? That's it. There's nothing to be scared of. There's no worry about like, am I joining a cult if I'm into this? Is there some like, because
Yeah.
people have those fears,
100%.
you know?
Yeah. I think you're right. So, and I want to ask you, like, maybe, as we close the podcast out, I would love to just maybe to dive into a couple of maybe lessons that we can get some, so we can leave our audience with some takeaways. But one thing that really hit home when we were at Elevate was this transition away from using NFT to describe the the piece that's being created. And the reason is there's a lot of I don't know about negative connotations, but there's a lot of like preconceived notions about NFTs because of the journey they just went through, maybe even where they exist today. And there's a lot of people that still feel like it's just PFPs. But so there's a naming convention. There's like a shift because they're trying to help people understand the way that people are using NFTs as more as digital collectibles or digital art or digital assets, and calling them those because I think it for one, it makes it's a little bit of a disconnect from maybe the negative connotations associated with NFTs, especially those people who feel like they were rug pulled on a project, or that their NFT did just turn out to be a simple PFP with no depth and no value. But we all collect some version of art. So for some of us, it's paintings on a wall. Some of us, it's clothing. For me, I have a big shoe collection, Michael Air Jordan shoe collection. Each one of those pieces means something to me, and I collect those pieces. So, this is just digital. So, digital collectibles, digital art, digital assets is something that they suggest people move in that direction if it makes you more comfortable, or it allows you to have a more comfortable conversation with somebody else who's skeptical on this space. To be able to explain it like that may be of benefit or use. So I just share that with you because that was something that a lot of artists and Web3 enthusiasts were talking to us about at Elevate. So I just wanted to share that one with you, and now I'll let you get
Yeah.
to your lesson or some feedback.
Yeah, I fully support that. It's like psychedelics, it's like psychedelics got a bad rap, tune in, drop out, hippies, all that kind of stuff.
True.
People using it nefariously to party and all that. And so now I like to call it plant medicine,
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. Perfect example.
yeah, or God, nobody likes that word.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean that the what it actually is bad. It's just you get a negative connotation
that's
because of
true.
that. So
That's very true.
yeah. One of the just I wrote down a few things that I wanted to just like,
Please.
I don't know if there's anything here that just really, this is kind of sum up this whole Hanuman adventure journey that we're on. I want everybody to see their life as a video game. So in this project, okay, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Like, I want us to see our lives as video games. I want to play in life as a video game with my friends. This is going to be becoming more and more obvious the more that virtual reality and the metaverse becomes so much just normal, that life is really a video game, that we can be even minded and cheerful no matter what challenge comes our way. And just like in a video game, when we play different, more difficult levels, we get stronger, we get wiser, we're learning. Like if you, the higher level you beat, like if you just played the game the first day and you skipped, to level 10 and you just started playing, you would get annihilated.
Mm.
But because you were thrown all these challenges throughout, now look how strong you are. Look how many moves you have. Look how much power you have. That's what's happening. So like, let's look at our lives. For me, okay, just an example, it's like I got a hurricane coming. I'm going to use it as a way to, okay, as there's 120-mile-an-hour winds going outside the window, can I be calm and smiling?
Mm.
Can I do that? Like, okay, cool. And if I can do that, now I had an experience of doing that and I'm less afraid next time. Um, so I want to play life as a video game, and I think that the Ramayana is the user's guide for
Mm.
this video game that we're playing. And you can be the villain if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend being the hero, because the Ramayana will show you, here's what happens when you act like a villain, here's what happens when you act like a hero.
Mm.
And I also want to make this project a big thing that I'm feeling, and we'll close with this, I guess, is we'll kind of pick it up in other discussions here. Um, there's a huge imbalance of masculine to feminine energy on the planet right now. Masculine is dominated. um, like I've been watching documentaries about, dating in the digital age, and all of this, and hearing, female friends of mine talk. And I'm scared for women. Like I imagine, this world of just growing up with, you're looking to try to date somebody, and people that are growing up now have had porn on their iPhone since they were born. And where they're just like, there's this really, just this, I don't know how you deal with that in life, where it just has made us sick, or it's made us
Yeah.
like, not having the proper relationships or the right respect for the opposite sex, or um, so there's this huge imbalance, I think, currently now. And I think the Ramayana, what Hanuman does is he restores that balance again. He restores, like when Sita is stolen, the goddess is stolen from Rama. It's the demon was separating the masculine and feminine energies. Um, Masculine energy is logic and reason, and feminine energy is feeling, and being able to, so rather than us becoming like androids and robots, just making decisions only on reason and logic, we need that feminine energy as well to, like, have empathy, have compassion for people, use intuition. And so it's combining these things again. So I'll end with this. So just like, I want this project, Seekers of the Eternal, and the story of the Ramayana that we're putting on, making imagery around, I want it to, like, if you're wearing a shirt or if you have an NFT, you're saying, like, I want to become the best version of myself. I want to become the best man or woman or gender neutral or whatever it is. You want to be, you're saying that I want that. I know that there's something wrong in the world right now, and I want to be the hero. I don't want to be the demon.
Yeah.
And together, when you're in this environment, we're all like, yeah, we all want to be the heroes. What does the hero do? How does a hero behave? How does a hero talk to a person? How does a hero behave around, women? You don't you don't immediately just start having lustful thoughts coming. You work on these things,
Yeah.
and over time you learn how to be a better man, a better woman, and more in balance and in harmony with nature. So that's the lofty goal. You
Yeah,
know?
I love that. And again, like you don't have to have a Hanuman NFT. You don't have to be a part of this community. You don't have to do anything. But I think having the goal of wanting to be the best version of yourself is pretty incredible. And how awesome is it if it's hard to, if I just handed you a car and said, drive, but I didn't tell you what some of the rules of the road were, where that's a red light, that's a green light, and you better stop and you better go at any given, whenever the right light's up. If you don't know that and you got to figure it out all on your own,
Yeah,
good luck, right? So
yeah.
I think that being a part of a community like this, having one of the most ancient epics ever told, and having access to all the lessons, people always say, like, try to learn from others' mistakes so you don't have to make them yourself. Like, imagine having one of the most ancient epics and traditions and stories ever told, where you can learn from thousands and thousands of generations prior to you walking on this planet. To learn the best from the best of the best, and to then make your life
Hmm.
better. It's just a shortcut. It's a cheat code in the game, in the video game.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So it's great cheat books that you get. After you've been frustrated with the game for a while, you go to the store, you get the cheat book, and it tells
Yeah.
you do this, do
Yeah.
this, do this, and
The game genie.
that's what we're
That's what
doing.
it was for
Yeah,
us growing up. Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
Well, Chris, this was such a great conversation as usual. I'm always enlightened after speaking with you, and I
Same
can't
here.
wait for the AMA on Thursday. I cannot wait for to see what other Hanumans you share with us next. Looking forward to the mint, and then just continuously building out this community of people that want the best for themselves and the best for other people. We're in a really tough time on the planet. There's a lot of cynicism and fear. And you either couple yourself to that, you tow your life rope to that, or you can tow it to something where people are trying to be better and trying to make this world better. You can't help but be around that. So thank you, Chris, for taking the time to chat with me today. And yeah, just can't wait for the Thursday AMA to hear more enlightenment.
Yeah, man. I'll just close with this and then we'll end
Please.
it. This
Yeah.
is words from Paramahansa Yogananda, another collection of his words from a book called Awaken to Your True Potential. He says, it's just as easy to be peaceful and joyful as it is to be worried and disturbed. Never forget to smile, not a mask like smile without sincerity behind it, but the honest, radiant smile that comes from a light, joyful heart. Develop the habit of smiling no matter what happens, and get complete control of your thoughts. They absolutely make or mar your life. People pay entirely too much attention to their physical being and think too much about what they should eat and how they must rest. It is all a matter of will. This is an awakened master talking now, so this isn't anything I know how to do, but he says, I have never been tired in my life, and I get along with as little as 5 hours of sleep a month. I eat in the morning. I never eat in the morning. And for lunch, I eat a light meal, preferably uncooked fruits and chopped nuts and an occasional egg. For supper, I take only a salad. But my life has been given over to the study of Yogoda. What I have done, others can also do.
Hmm. What a great way to end the podcast. That was beautiful.
Mhm. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chris.
Mhm.